Today in the crypto space, we see the market taking a slight dip to the downside, Bitcoin down approximately 3%, and so is Ethereum, right around that $2,250 mark. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, are following their lead to the downside, a few dips, a few corrective moves, some rallies. Look at Bonk and HNT. However, guys, the way Bitcoin looks, we could be preparing for a dip, a further correction to the downside. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin, one ecosystem that has been doing very well in the last little while, and that project is called Solana. So you know what, let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome on the channel. We talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. Guys, if you appreciate that strategy, subscribe to the channel, click that bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on those socials. The links are in the description, but better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. All right, guys, let's look at what's happening here in this general market. We see Bitcoin, you know, the market following Bitcoin and Ethereum definitely going sideways, and we are getting a bit of a dip today. It's not a big deal because we're still within range, still within structure. I know there's a lot of negativity when we don't actually get good volatility to the upside. People start, you know, feeling a bit of the heat. But guys, at the end of the day, Bitcoin ranging sideways is very healthy. But I do expect that every time Bitcoin does dip within that range, we're going to see altcoins take a little bit of a corrective move as well, including Ethereum. And this is what is happening. Now, I'm not saying that Bitcoin's going to run for another leg to the upside and hit price discovery. But what I am saying is that Bitcoin could be in a distribution phase. Guys, we'll take a look at Bitcoin today. Of course, we'll look at the general market right now, kind of give us an idea of the overall market, give us a consensus of the market, and then we'll talk about Solana. Of course, Solana has been a great performer in this, you know, rally to the upside, and the ecosystem in itself is on a comeback, so we can expect some good things out of Solana. All right, guys, let's continue here. We have BNB maybe rolling over. That hang time is looking pretty real right there, and Solana keeps on grinding to the upside. It is up at approximately 1.3% for today, which is great. The last 7 days, not so much, but you can see what I mean. Solana is at $75, guys. Solana was considered dead in the water, but all of a sudden, it's right back, you know, doing its thing. So we can expect Solana to be a great performer and continue to be a great performer throughout this continuation of the bull run. Let's continue here. Cardano kind of going sideways, definitely in a retracement, down 4%, no big deal. AVAX still holding strong, up 42%, but nonetheless, you know, in the last little while going sideways. I don't think a quick dip is going to end up happening until we break some real support. That structure needs to change, but ultimately still okay. We have a good range bound price action today. You can see a lot of price action is going sideways here, very sideways, and as long as we don't make lower lows and lower highs, I think we can expect a break of structure to the upside, a continuation. Look at ICP is doing very well, one of the major players today, up 12%. That's pretty good. Grinding to the upside for ICP, and we continue going down. We can see that there are still good players like Injective still grinding nice and slowly, up 3.5%. But look, big picture, guys, IMX, Injective, they've been doing very well, and HBAR has been waking up in the last little while, got a nice little impulsive move. It's still up 2% today, so that's really good for HBAR. Hedera, Hashgraph, VeChain finally woke up, but you know what, still underperforming in my book. I still feel like the explosive move to the upside is yet to come, so be prepared for that one. BitTensor got a little bit of a move yesterday, doing pretty good, and the list goes on. The question is, does Bonk have what it takes to continue going to the upside? Bonk has been ripping it, guys. You know, at the end of the day, I like meme coins, no doubt, but when you get into a project that's been up 136% in 7 days, 73% of it is today, guys, it's really risky, guys. It's super risky. Obviously, the casino is always there, and in the casino, a lot of people do become you know, very wealthy. generational gains for sure. The question is, if you enter right now and going along, are you going to become exit liquidity for those individuals that bought the bottom? Just be careful out there, guys. Don't bet the farm. You know, practice safe trading. Remember to put those stop losses, and don't bet what you're not willing to lose. Bonk is cool. It's fun. But at the end of the day, guys, it could be retracing any moment now. Render doing great. At the end of the day, got a nice move to the upside, still hovering around that $404.50 mark. But ultimately, guys, you know, it could be looking for a bigger retracement. I'm being very hesitant here with Render. Obviously, my bags are packed. I'm happy with my position. I'm happy with for me to scale in more, I need to see Render come down a little bit further in order to improve my risk-to-reward ratio opportunities. That's all. It's all about risk-to-reward, not about fundamentals. Fundamentally, Render's decent, so I'm happy about that. Aave waking up, and you can see we continue scrolling down, a lot of these altcoins are still going sideways. We have Phantom doing pretty good. Of course, Phantom, we need it to wake up. It's up to almost 20%, which is not bad. But ultimately, the layer ones, the larger cap layer ones, we want them to wake up. Those ones are ecosystem projects. They support many smaller low cap altcoins that we love, and we want them to do well. So in order for that to happen, we definitely need them to do well. Look at Helium, for example, doing very well based off the Solana ecosystem. We thought Helium was also dead, but look at this, up 55% plus from its bottom and doing very well. So as you can see, doing pretty well. Osmo, another strong gainer, part of a strong narrative. The Atom Cosmos narrative, of course, interoperability and a lot of those good things. So we can see Osmo doing very well, up 71%. Guys, and the list goes on. We have some good gainers. That's general consensus. It's that we do have some dips, no doubt. We do 5% more or less, but throughout these 5% dips, we do have some good gainers that are definitely ripping it. The question is, have you scaled into those guys? And guys, don't be hard on yourself if you missed out on a couple of them, you know, because it's hard really to time them all, right? As long as overall you put your capital in some of those good gainers, you could definitely become a very profitable trader. All right, guys, let's take a look at the general market. We took a look at the general market. Let's take a look at some charts. Bitcoin, where is it at? Bitcoin kind of still within range, guys. I did expect Bitcoin to stay within this sideways consolidation here. I didn't expect a huge rejection, but this consolidation definitely over time starts to give us a bit of doubt. The doubt could be that we're in a distribution phase where we eventually roll over. However, guys, there's a lot more to be said here. As long as Bitcoin continues going sideways in this range, we could see altcoins continue to run. However, guys, after every run, after every impulse, after every green candle, there's always a bearish response. And in those bearish responses, despite Bitcoin going sideways, we are going to see the altcoins take a heavier dip. And that's basically what is happening with this red candle right here for today. You know, we're seeing altcoins take a bit of a red day. And reality is Bitcoin is only down 2%, while we see some of the altcoins down significantly more. So this is something to understand, is that the lower cap you go, the more volatility there is. And ultimately, the explosive moves do come around, and those altcoins tend to outperform Bitcoin eventually. So let's just be very patient here. As long as Bitcoin stays within the zone, I'm expecting a continuation to the upside, even if it is a failed breakout to the upside, which for me is most probable. Maybe hitting around 45.7, you know, 45,800, more or less right around here. And they may happen where we end up going sideways for the next little while, getting into a distribution where we might get into a corrective move. And that will take some time for it to play out. Okay, guys, so be very patient here with the market. The market is going to be giving us good opportunities in the next little while. But understand that as the weekend does roll around, we are going to expect that the order books are going to be very thin. You know, there's going to be a lot of volatility based on retail trading, and that is a very tough place to be trading in. So be very careful here over the weekend. Do some studying, take it easy. Don't bet the farm and trail up a stop loss, guys. That's the only way you can mitigate your risk currently. So far so good. If we go on the 4 hour, you can definitely see we're still going sideways. I don't find anything negative other than the momentum getting that pivot point. You can see that the momentum, the bearish divergence is there both on the daily and here on the 4 hour, which suggests that ultimately we could come down for another little bit of a dip here to get a confirmation low on the momentum. You can see the RSI slowly coming down once again to get that confirmation. And then once we get that confirmation, we start to get a double bottom here on the 4 hour, which ultimately may continue to the upside, given the fact that the daily still overbought in that overbought zone. And we might get a third drive of bearish divergence here after we're getting higher highs on the price action and lower highs on the RSI. We can't negate the fact that the MACD is looking quite bearish as well. EMA crosses to the downside with red histogram bars forming. And that's the thing here, guys. Ultimately, you know, rollovers do take time, but in the meantime, we can get another fake out to the upside and then obviously create another higher high. So that's my take on Bitcoin. Nothing really risky. And in the last little while, I've been focusing on larger cap altcoins, right? Given the fact that Bitcoin is showing a bit of hesitation here, it would be safe to say to diversify your portfolio is very smart right now, because getting into only risky projects means that you're going to be exposing yourself to extreme volatility if we do get that corrective move market wide. So getting into larger caps will give you some of that stability and be able to basically mitigate that risk. So I'm looking at some of them, and of course one of them is Solana. Solana, guys, doing pretty good in the last little while. It's definitely been ripping to the upside. However, we can't negate the fact that there's a bit of divergence here. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say that, you know, we've been invalidating that divergence. We're in a bull run. You know, there's a rally in effect, and the divergences get invalidated. And you know what? You're right. 100%. It happens, right? That's bullish mentality ultimately. But as you get into larger time frames, get on the weekly, you can see that we are even overbought on the weekly. Now, there's no sign of bearish divergence, but it does look very toppish, right? We're kind of flatline in overbought conditions, right? And at horizontal resistance. And for me, this is not time to really take risk here on Solana. You know, although I am bullish on Solana, if you look back at my videos, I bought the dip at this level. This is where I got in on a dip. And in fact, I was buying all the way into here as well. But this was my corrective dip. This was where I'm like, look, this is an impulse, nice higher low, higher highs, higher lows. All of a sudden we start breaking. And this is the time to take risk, right? This was a bit risky, of course, get into a small bag blind and, you know, trying to catch a falling knife. But this got many confirmations. And ultimately, this was the time to take risk. As we speak, you can see that from that entry point, on average, to where we are right now, you're up 300%, guys. That is crazy gains, and ultimately not time to take absolute risk. However, it doesn't mean that you can't get into a long position. It's just that you have to understand it's got to be in lower time frames. The daily's really right now overbought as well, and looking like it wants to retrace and get to oversold conditions. Now, the daily getting oversold means that we're going to get a bigger correction, a way bigger correction, which could take us down all the way to about $40, okay? I'll give or take 47, even 40, right around here, because that's the previous breakout zone. And we do have a big volume gap right here that could act as support at about $45. So for me, I'm interested to see what happens at that level. If we get some support, maybe we wick down a little bit more, and ultimately we use that level of support as a spring to continue to the upside. However, guys, again, oversold conditions, let those happen if they're going to happen. And sure, especially oversold here on the RSI, you can see what I mean. As we get this divergence and we get a follow through, it's likely that we start coming down to slightly lower levels. Now, at least follow this trend. We got 1-2 touches. Let's see if we get a reaction right around this zone, maybe in the chop zone type of thing, and get another impulsive move. But ultimately, reserve some capital just in case we get oversold, because that would give you the fire sale, especially on the daily, the fire sale that you really want to get in with a greater risk to reward ratio. But buying the dip at the chop zone based on some support, you know, is very viable as well. Obviously, we'll wait to see what happens when we get there, right? We'll look at the 4 hour. Right now, the 4 hour is still choppy. You can see, look at the RSI. It's probably still in the chop zone, very much so. No real extremities, neither overbought or oversold for a good while. Real retracement down to oversold, not extreme as well. And then a quick pullback to overbought, not extreme also. So this is the thing. You can see that Solana right now in the lower time frames is somewhat squeezing, right? The momentum is squeezing, and ultimately we are due for an expansion phase. Look at the MACD, EMAs, maybe looking for that cross to the downside. So I'm not really crazy about that either. There's no red histogram bars just yet, so we got to be very patient for this to happen. But ultimately, you know, as long as this stays this way, it's very likely that we even continue to the upside. So personally speaking, this is where I'm at with this. This is where I'm at. I'm bullish. I'm obviously very bullish on Solana. But the amount of risk that you take at the current moment has to be directly associated to the amount of capital that you want to get in, right? So in this case, you know, because we're very risky right here and we've impulsed already, the likelihood of a correction is there. So that means, you know, where are you going to put your stop loss? For me, that's a very important question. Where are you going to mitigate your risk? Where are you going to cut yourself off if it decides to roll over? And the best area that I can see is at about $52, $54, right? Now, what about the dip? What kind of dip do you have to endure in order to keep your position alive? You're looking at about a 30% correction, and still 30%. And what about if you get wicked out there? You got to be prepared to take a 30% loss. Now, what does that mean? If you get in with a large portion of your capital, of your portfolio, taking 30% at one shot is significant. So what you want to do is not get in with your entire position, your entire bag, your entire portfolio. You want to get in with a portion of your portfolio that you're willing to lose, and only be willing to lose around 2%. So whatever the math is, do the math. At the end of the day, this dip is 30%, but this 30% has to equate to no more than 2% of your entire portfolio, if you get what I mean. So getting in with $100, let's say, just to make a number up, taking 30% dip on that, you're only losing $30. And the reality is, if $30 represents only 2% of your whole portfolio, that's a great scenario, because ultimately you're not risking too much, and ultimately you're getting a bit of exposure for that potential continuation to the upside. But you can see, statistically speaking here, it's quite difficult. It's quite difficult to get really bullish here, because we're definitely impulsive to the upside. Personally speaking, guys, I wouldn't be getting into any fresh longs. Obviously, it's not financial advice. I'm sure there's people right now really bullish on Solana, but personally speaking, in the short term, I'm expecting a correction, and I would be happier to deploy a lot more capital with a lot more bullish conviction at lower levels, rather than in an impulsive move such as this one, guys. It did very well already. I would be looking for more for different entries on different projects that could be potentially do very well here in the next little while. So Solana, although it is a great gainer, personally speaking, unless you have a real long-term vision and willing to endure a corrective move, in my opinion, now's not the time to be looking for an entry. Okay, so I'll be looking at about $45. That would be interesting to me, and right around that $40 mark, more or less. Obviously, guys, I'll keep you posted. Make sure that you subscribe and click the bell. In fact, join me live tonight at 7:30 Eastern, where I talk about crypto news and price action. If you have any projects you want me to cover, I'll cover them live, and I'll put them in top priority. Follow me on the socials, join the Discord, guys. It's a great community, lots of good alpha, trade setup fundamentals, and learning material. Take care, guys. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.